paranormal. It surrounds us. It's everywhere. Tonight, you will hear from the people who live and work within these highly active locations, all in the efforts to discover America's most haunted. With your host, ghost hunter and author, Dan Terry.
Good evening, boys and ghouls. I am Dan Terry, your ghost host with the most haunted, going back home in a way, not exactly to Missouri, but, you know, guys, and as long as I've been doing this show, before I started going to West Virginia, those folks treated me so well, and I got to do so much interesting ghost stuff there. I always said one of the most haunted states I'd ever been in was Kansas. And I used to go down there and help out with the Kansas Paranormal Research Society, which is still in action. And Ghost Tours of Kansas, used to work with her a lot. It's a lot of fun. If you get the chance, they do a lot of great tours. Ghost Tours of Kansas is the website. And God, there was so many. My friend Sam had a group then called Great Plains Paranormal. And we were the first to go to the old airport in Wichita, which I think they're doing that now quite a bit, but we were the first to do it. It was really exciting. And there was so many others. I did a haunted museum there when I was working with another ghost team out of Kansas. That was the Oz Museum. And at the same time, we did a Columbia Theater in the same town. And guys, that was one of the most amazing nights I ever had. Kansas is really wild. I mean, Missouri, I get being so haunted because of the limestone, the running water, all of that going on. West Virginia, I get because of the mountains and the cornstalk curse and all of that. New Orleans, their history is amazing. I get why that's so haunted. Kansas, while they've had a lot of history, boy, it seems like there's a lot of ghosts there. So I was really delighted when I got to talk to my new friend here, Scott Price. Scott, along with Aaron McGinnis and Heather Offner, started Ghost Light Paranormal. And it's a great story on how they started it. I want you guys to hear that. But let's bring Scott up and chat with him.
And hi, thanks for the time. I appreciate you bringing me on.
I appreciate you coming on because I'm sure you heard the intro. God, Kansas was such a blast when I lived in Missouri to go there and ghost hunt.
You are correct. I mean, I think some people are surprised. I think that, other people kind of, know what's going on. I was talking to NSPS TV out of Texas 2 weeks ago, and he ironically he said, "So is Kansas haunted?" So we had a conversation, and I was able to talk to him about exactly some of the places that that you were going on about. I have not been to Wichita yet, and I know that's that is a story for itself.
Their history is incredible with the airplanes, the Old West. Everything seemed to match up there.
The history of Northeast Kansas is actually, I mean, all of Kansas for that matter, but
Yes.
Northeast Kansas especially, with when we're discussing Atchison, Leavenworth actually is a town that is full of stories, especially when you're talking about the Kansas State Penitentiary, and you're talking about the federal penitentiary. The trains. I mean, just a long history, of rail, a long history of not just rail, but the wagon trains. They're
Sure.
there are wagon ruts. Just through Topeka that just tend to just vibrate with energy.
Sure. I did a ghost hunt at Oddfellows home, I think it was in Topeka, And gosh, that was just crazy, the stuff that goes on there.
There is, yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
We have one of the first places that actually my group investigated, and it wasn't it wasn't a place that was like brand new, but we're talking about the Shawnee County poorhouse, which had a similar story to Ashmore Estates. It was set up as a home for people that had, for one reason or another, lost their home, lost their breadwinner. They just weren't making it on their own, so they would bring them to the Shawnee County poorhouse, where they would farm for their own food, and would just have their own community set up there. And then it became a nursing home for a while, and it was a nursing home for a while. And then in 1985, Shawnee County took it over, and it became a community center, where you just go. It had a gym, it had a pool, it had places where you could have meetings, and they're still open, but they're also very, very active.
I've been to a couple of poor farms that are now museums, and
Yes.
They do. Was life that bad there, or was that just they don't want to move on?
Well, in some cases, they kind of, the way I understand it is that, yes, I mean, things were somewhat, the conditions weren't always the greatest.
Mhm.
They did separate, male from female, and as far as sleeping quarters and things like that. But sometimes, there were people there that probably should have been someplace else, like
Yeah.
an asylum. It really, a lot of those places, they ended up just sadly just dumping family members who
Mhm.
they just did not want to deal with. So so sadly, you would have issues like that were going on there, where you had some people that really just did not get along with society, who ended up being forced into this society.
Mhm. When I've been to some of these, there was one there in Missouri, very close to where I live, that when they were digging out for the swimming pool years and years, decades after that closed,
Hmm.
they were finding bodies that had just been dumped.
Yeah.
Is there a cemetery at this one, or did they do something similar to that?
We are thinking there is the possibility that there may be 3 cemeteries on that property, with probably no less than 300 people buried. We know that, and actually, I should probably talk up Devin Cooper for this particular incident, because Devin is not only the rec director for Shawnee County. She Her office is at Shawnee North Community Center, where that used to be that poor farm we're discussing. But she is aware that there are unmarked cemeteries that are around that community center, and she has looked in some of the records, where some of those bodies, or at least all of those bodies at one time, were supposed to be taken to another cemetery that had a potter's field, because there was construction going on, just especially like you were talking about, where they were needing to put a road in. But we cannot find anything that shows us that any of those bodies were moved. So, we know that at least 2 of those unmarked cemeteries are still there. We're not certain about the 3rd cemetery.
Are there stones marking the graves still, or is it just a plot of land that has bodies
Just
in it?
just a plot of land. Um, we we've done some dowsing and divining, and in at least one of them, and we're fairly certain that at least this one particular cemetery has, at least 50 bodies in it. We're not certain if there are more or not yet or not. So
Okay.
uh, the county obviously, um, has not sprung for any sort of detection equipment or anything like that. Obviously, they've got their own priorities. So, but again, we know that there are cemeteries, and again, at least two that have been there.
Well, of course, we want to get into what you found there, but before we do that, almost every team, and I interview a lot of teams. The point of my show is I like to give people an opportunity to be heard who don't have their own TV show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So most of the groups that I have interviewed tell me, me and my cousin, me and my sister, me and my friends, we watched Ghost Hunters, we watched all these shows, Ghost Adventurers, and decided to learn how to do it. Some studied under other teams, but the way you all started is completely different from that. Can you give us a line on how you started?
Sure. And I'm probably just as guilty as being, one of those that just, really just looks up to, like Jason Hawes and
Mm-hmm.
uh, actually John Tenney is actually probably one of my biggest heroes, but just because his knowledge and his speaking ability, but I will say that yes, I knew of at least one or two friends who uh, were ghost hunters here in town because we had just kind of accidentally let it slip altogether. Two of us work with another theater in town, and we're friends with the theater director at this particular theater. They had a couple of incidents where they had some workers there that had been slightly injured for strange circumstances. One of them was on a step ladder working on some lights on the ceiling, and this guy had been working on ladders for God, 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden the ladder just seemed to just tip, and he held on to the piping for the lights as long as he could, but ended up on the ground, ended up with a tib fib fracture.
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
so he was out for a while. But they do have cameras in this theater, just for security, obviously. And when they went back and looked at the camera for this particular accident, um, the one of the feet of the ladder seemed to get kicked, or just for some reason just moved very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was obviously kind of scary. And then I had another one where a gentleman that worked there, a costume designer who worked there, was trying to move a piano out of his way on a flat surface, and the piano tipped over on top of him. He was trying to push it out of his way. He didn't. He ended up getting too badly injured. I mean, he had a broken pinky finger, but it wasn't as bad as what it could have been. But again, this was on a flat surface. No reason for an upright piano like that to have just tipped over. So
That
we
sounds like it would take a lot of strength.
we tried to. I mean, we even tried ourselves to try and move it where it would be out of balance, and at least two or three people could not do it. So
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah, it and again, we just you know we couldn't say that it was paranormal or not, but why is a piano with four legs on it um, just getting tipped over?
Yeah.
a heavy piano like that. So, that's kind of where we got the start, talking to this director, about these things. Um, and I just kind of offered to, come in and say, what can I do to help? And talked to her for a bit, and she mentioned Aaron. So, I talked to Erin, and she said yes, she would love to. Ended up talking to my friend Heather, who I knew had been into the ghost hunting for quite a while, and she had some team members that she worked with at her work, and brought some more people, and so we ended up with probably 6 or 8 people there that night that
Okay.
had some knowledge, and they they came in with, and we were there for several hours that night. We had some scary good EVPs, possibly at least one shadow that was seen. We did talk to a spirit who admitted that they had kicked out the ladder, and somebody asked why, and we, on the spirit talker, we got 2 words: for fun.
What kind of EVPs did you get?
We got some very, very obvious male EVPs. We got we did get a very scary sounding when they set the recorder up behind the stage and just left it there. Um, uh, we had one of our investigators say, "Okay, we're setting this up here. Feel free to talk into it at any time." And when they went back and listened to it, probably within about 5 seconds, they got a very loud, very echoey, "Okay." So
Did
we
you
did.
ever manage to come up with who the spirits were?
As a matter of fact, at least 1 or 2. The history of this theater, starts very, very old, going into the early part of the 20th century, in the 1900s. That was a bathhouse for a large Olympic-sized wading pool that was built into one of the largest parks in Shawnee County, called Gage Park. Now, Gage is very much is very historic on its own. I mean, it's got a zoo there that's been there for years. It's got a number of, of older buildings that you can now rent for parties or for weddings, for whatever. It's got a couple of ponds. It's so it's been there for years and years. So we are aware of at least 2 drownings in that pool. One was a child that got stuck in a drain. The other one was a gentleman who apparently had too much to drink and passed out in the pool, and was found under the water at a certain time.
Okay.
So we did get some voices and did get some names. The gentleman that was there, he is very unhappy to be there, but he does not want to move on. Apparently, we got the idea that after he drowned in the pool, that his wife moved away and moved back with family, and he was upset that she moved and didn't say where she was going.
Okay.
So we got that. The child, we did get a child's voice on an EVP that said, "I like your hat." I was the only one wearing a ball cap that night, or wearing a hat of any type that night. So, so that was kind of interesting to hear that, obviously. But we got that. We got, we did get. We used our K2s occasionally for yes or no questions. We had cat balls thrown all over the place that were active. And we tended to get on Spirit Box just just dozens of different names that came over. It
Hmm.
But it's not surprising because um, just outside of the park, on the other side of the streets, at Sixth and Gage, there's a cemetery, and on the other side of the cemetery, I can't remember, I think it's Civitan Road, there is also another cemetery there as well. So um, that theater was never investigated ever. So I'm kind of wondering if perhaps that uh, a lot of these voices said, "Hey, people are actually talking to us. Let's go."
Yes.
so,
We've
so
had spirits come in just because they knew we were there, and
yep,
they
exactly.
show up.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of what we thought as well. That and everything, we really, other than this one gentleman, who's unhappy, who just he's uses a lot of foul language, and he just is just kind of just an old curmudgeon. Just he hasn't hurt anybody. Um,
Mhm.
we haven't had anybody scratched there, and then other than these other two accidents, but we did get another spirit that for whatever reason owned up to those two accidents. So
Okay.
and that was a spirit of a former construction and prop maker that used to work there at the bathhouse, is what they call it. And
Okay.
and he owned up to pushing the piano, and he owned up to pushing the ladder, and
For
uh,
fun.
for fun. So who knows? Anyway, he was
Well, that's
yeah, he was a good friend actually of the guy that that was on that ladder also before he passed. And this gentleman passed in Chicago. He was actually the costume designer for a very well-known artist who I'll probably get sued if I mention. But he died of a heart attack in Chicago for a tour with this well-known artist, and and for some reason he came back.
okay. Came back to Kansas.
Came back to the actual theater that he first worked in.
Okay. Well, I guess that's where he was happiest, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
So, what are you all planning now? You're. How many members of the team do you have? First of all.
We have actually just within the last couple of months we've gotten 4 or 5 more members. We are now up to 9. We are still waiting for some other applications from some other people that have gone out who have mentioned their commitment. So we've got more people. We are growing, and happily to be so.
And that's the Topeka area. And what's is it? Atchison?
It's I all of Shawnee County is actually fairly active. Topeka, Topeka city limits are within Shawnee County, but Shawnee County has its own history of activity and of things that have happened within its entire history. Um, so we do allow people from outside the city limits, but I mean we've got people that are north of the county line. In Jefferson County, we've got a married couple that live just west of Lawrence, Kansas, where University of Kansas is.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in a little town called Lecompton, which at one time Lecompton was the territorial state capital of Kansas, which there's a lot of history there as well. So and I just I'm not going to say I'm picky, but I will say that I do try to find out if a number of these people have interest in history, rather
Sure.
than just looking for an adrenaline surge. And I want people that are on this team that have a love of Kansas history and have a love of Topeka and Shawnee County and its history, and as far as what its history has to do with the United States.
Well, what I've said on this show many times, without history, these are just campfire tales.
Exactly. And sure enough, I want these people to, have some knowledge of the area behind him, or if they don't have the knowledge, are willing to learn, about the knowledge of history. So, I do make certain that, that they do, before I announce, an investigation or a public hunt. I do want to make sure that, especially the people that, that come to the public hunts, know that we are going to be discussing the history of whatever building, whatever cemetery, wherever we go. I want them, aware that, we aren't, just adrenaline junkies. We're people that love history.
A lot of the sensitives and psychics, for lack of a better word, that I've worked with, don't want to know anything about the history of that particular building or that particular place.
Sure.
Have you had some of those that they don't want to know anything till afterwards?
I actually, we have worked with a medium with Flint Hills Paranormal, who's based in Emporia, Kansas. Terry Levin is her name, and she is a very, very, very sensitive medium who we've worked with a couple of times, and she honestly doesn't care whether she knows about it or not. I do have one medium on the team, Cheryl Franklin. And we haven't really done that yet, where, we've said,
Okay.
Hey, walk into this building and see what you see. Because for the most part, a lot of the areas that we have gone into are still public, and we are still, she is aware of their stories in the first place. And
Okay.
we haven't actually blindfolded her and driven her to an area yet, but I'm not saying I won't do that. I do actually, on this private investigation that we have coming on Saturday. I have at least, and I don't think she's watching. Cheryl, don't watch. I do.
This will be 3 weeks from now. You're fine.
Yeah. We do have this investigation coming up that has
Okay.
at least 2 bodies on it, that we know are there. The family knows that they're there. They're actually family members. So, and I haven't told her about it yet, because, I do kind of want to kind of pick that up.
That's how we test people. That's how they learn better.
Yep.
She may be feeling something, afraid to say it, and then you verify it before
Agreed.
she even knows it. So
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay, Scott, hold on for a minute. I'll be right back. I just got to step away for a moment.
Okay.
Oh gosh, guys, Kansas, I've done so much there. I had adventures there in the Columbia Theater and the Oz Museum. It was wild, crazy place. Seen a big old, huge, tough biker guy laying on the floor in a fetal position, crying because of what happened in there. It was wild. Kansas is amazing. And my good friend and the lady who runs the Onyx Network, Margie, of course, she's out of Kansas City, so it's right across the river from Kansas. She does a lot there. And I want you to watch these messages from her.
The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Onyx Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine Who may be doing the haunting and why? How to research a haunted house can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unxmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unxmedia.com or amazon.com. The UNX Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the UNX Network website at unxnetwork.com. That's unxnetwork.com.
All right, friends, I always like to talk to you about joining up with the UNX Network. You go to unxnetwork.com, drop down a little bit on the front page. There's all you need to know there and the blanks to fill in. You get so much out of it. And I do want to specifically mention one of the things we have is the UNX XCon. And the first year we held the XCon, it was virtual because we was in the middle of COVID. The second and third year, we held them in Missouri at a very haunted hotel. And this year, we're going back to our roots and going back to doing it virtual. So you don't have to pay for a hotel. You don't have to pay for gas. You don't have to pay for restaurant food. You just sit here and watch it on the computer screen. So you may want to check in on that. Of course, we'll talk more about that afterwards. But I want to get back to Scott and the haunted state of Kansas.
Yes, sir.
All right, Scott, you've done quite a bit there. What's your favorite story for what you guys have done?
Let's see. Ashmore Estates actually was probably the scariest place that we've been to so far. And me and my administrative assistant Heather. We were there and we were down in the boiler room, and I had brought my dead bell and had brought my tripwire and had those down in that boiler room. And we were really selling the dead bell. Hey, come over. We got this bell over here. You can use it to answer questions, or you can use it to. And we didn't have anything on it for about 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden, it became just like a kid's toy, and they just wouldn't stop playing with it and just kept dinging and dinging. And I think they actually ran the batteries down on it. But after that was over, I just out of the corner of my eye, I saw something move between Heather and I. We were both in folding chairs, and there was barely an inch or two between the two of us, and something passed between her and I. And I mentioned it, and we were there with several teams, including Paranormal Girls out of Iowa. And
I've interviewed them. That's pretty cool. They told me about this place. Go ahead.
Yeah. And she was Brenda was filming, And so, we did the rest of the investigation, and things started dropping off a little earlier in the morning, about 2 or 3 o'clock. Things kind of dropped off, but she went back and looked at her videos, and she hasn't sent me anything yet because she's still, working on some edits. But she did that Monday. She did send me a message that said, "I caught it. It's real. I will get it to you as soon as I can." And she did take it a couple places to see if she could get that movement debunked, and she said nobody can debunk it.
Okay.
So something
Awesome.
passed. Something passed between the two of us, and I know I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and it looked kind of like a white mist to me. But she says that it was actually a shadow that walked between the two of us. So I'm
Okay.
still looking forward to getting that. So that would be pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And is there places there in Kansas you found that are just really crazy haunted other than that?
One that I have not been to yet, but apparently I'm going to be going with some friends on October 9th, as well as some of the people in our group. We're going to be going to the 1858 Garnett Hotel. Have you heard of this place yet?
I think some friends of mine down there do programs there and such.
The paranormal twins have been there. There've been a number of other popular groups there. I know that I believe that the guy that owns it is a former producer for Ghost Hunters.
Okay.
And they have been kind of trying to get things fixed up there, and it is on the scary side of paranormal, is what I've been told. I haven't had the opportunity yet, but I definitely will be talking about that soon. So we do have within the Topeka city limits, we have been to the grounds of the Topeka State Hospital for some time. There are a couple of buildings there that we just have not been able to get into because of safety reasons. But they also have an unmarked cemetery that is just on the northeast corner of that property, and it is extremely mysterious. I mean, we get EVPs all the time. We get footsteps on the grass all the time. I mean, we do take tours through there, and we haven't really gotten any apparitions yet, but we've gotten quite a bit of activity with the Topeka State Hospital Cemetery.
Okay.
The original state hospital in Topeka started in 1857, and it was built, kind of on the same principle as as Penhurst, at the TALA, Trans-Allegheny, so it was just as big, if not bigger, than a lot of these buildings. Sadly, it did end up getting torn down in the 90s, early 2000s, just roughly about the same time that the principles behind asylums kind of were starting to fall out of public opinion, and the community mental health was starting to make its face known. So that entire area, like I said, save a couple of buildings, has been demolished. So I don't think anybody other than some urbexes were able to get in there and do anything. So but yeah, it was sad to see that building go, because because mental health and the history of mental health is something that is actually really important to Topeka and Shawnee County. Of course, the Menninger name is another one that was was known. And when moved to Houston, the buildings up on Menninger Hill were just closed, and they're still up there rotting away, and nobody can get in there.
Yeah. I got to do the Illinois Asylum for the Incurably Insane just before they tore the building down.
Oh,
In fact,
man.
we had to stand on like boards going across the floors where it was safe. But it was quite an adventure just to be in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and that's unfortunately, I think that we probably could have had some adventures of our own, but it just didn't happen. And I get it. It just probably asbestos, black mold. I mean, all those other things, and all
Yeah.
the other buildings that we walk into anyway. But but we just it just wouldn't happen. So, and is what it is. So
We've talked a little about the history of Kansas. What place are you wanting to go to?
places in Kansas I'm wanting to go to.
Yeah.
I have made some pitches to see some other places. We have a very, very nice air museum here that's got World War I, World War II aircraft in there. I've talked to them a couple of times. They just don't want to have nothing to do with
Right.
with paranormal. And I mean, we've had some other places, in the Topeka area where they just don't want to have anything to do with it. So, but I've just continued to keep walking in, shaking hands, and saying hey, and you did mention the Columbian, and you did mention the Oz Museum.
Yeah.
We are in the process of speaking to them, and I believe that there is going to be a Paracon at the Columbian sometime in January.
Wow.
So we are
Yes.
hoping to be able to lead some of the hunts there.
Okay. Yeah. Road Trip Paranormal did it and they called me in to assist, and I got to help them
Awesome.
several years ago.
Awesome.
And yeah, the lady, I don't know if the same lady's running it, but she was a real sweetheart, man. You'll enjoy working with her.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've talked a little bit. So
okay. Well, if you talk to her again, tell her I said hi. I don't know if she'll remember me not. We haven't talked in a couple of years, but
yeah, sure enough. Yeah, I'm gonna walk out to my car for a second. I'm up here visiting some friends, and they need the room where I'm at. So
okay.
I'm just gonna step into another place here for a second.
Sure.
So, we're excited about the prospect of that. I know that we're wanting to get there. Ellenwood is another town that I'm wanting to visit. Ellenwood out in western Kansas, they've got the Ellenwood Undergrounds. The hotel out in Ellenwood is supposed to be active as well. So I don't know about the Ellenwood Underground. They actually have a number of cities. Actually, for the longest time, they had basements that would interconnect with each other, and actually do a lot of shopping in the basements of some of these places within the city. So Ellenwood has actually reserved their underground shopping areas, and they are extremely active in those areas.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, there's I mean, I could be here for hours and just talk about a lot of the places in Kansas that we could definitely go. You
may want to check out the 1859 Marshall's House and Jail in Independence, Missouri.
Yes.
You're fairly close. I've had a dime thrown at me in there.
Oh, good.
about 15 years later, I talked to someone who just out of nowhere said, "Yeah, this coin come flying through and almost hit me." It's like, wow. And that
That's
was in
crazy.
the Frank James cell.
Oh, wow.
So
We did get an invitation from let's see, from Let's Go Ghouls. I don't know if you're aware of Let's Go Ghouls. They're another group here in the Oklahoma, Kansas area.
okay,
We're looking at going to Coffeyville on a hunt with them.
Coffeeville. Well, that I'll bet's
Yes,
got some good stuff in it.
absolutely. Obviously, with the Dalton gang, I believe actually one of the Daltons is actually still buried in one of the cemeteries there. So
Okay.
yeah, definitely looking at the prospects there. So we're absolutely excited about being down in that area.
Sounds like you got plenty of good stuff planned as well.
Sure, absolutely. We've got we actually have two public hunts that are going to be coming up on September the 20th. We are going to be running a benefit for the Topeka Cemetery.
Okay.
We will be there. I know we'll be working with Lisa Ford, who is the historian there, and we're gonna be working with her. And again, Devin Cooper with Shawnee County Parks and Rec, she's going to come along as well. Devin is just a massive history head for Shawnee County, and
Okay.
she can pretty much find anything and anybody who lived in Shawnee County and tell you their life history. She's amazing. So we will be there 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. and we'll be doing that hunt there. So we've got plenty of room. So I think I've got maybe 4 people signed up. Of course, we didn't start announcing it until last week.
Oh, well, yeah. Actually, you're doing pretty good.
On October the 26th, I believe that's a Saturday before Halloween. We are going to be at the Topeka State Hospital Cemetery for a picnic with the paranormal. So we are literally going to have a picnic before the investigation. It's it's basically going to be a brown bag thing. We're just going to ask people to bring their own food and drink and everything. We'll have some water and some condiments there, I'm sure. But it's a non-alcoholic event, and we will be having the picnic. We'll talk about the history of the Topeka State Hospital, about the cemetery itself, and then starting about 8 o'clock that night, we will have the hunt and be there till about 11.
Okay. Well, you got a lot of good stuff going. How's your public hunts? I know there's some that you have to charge for, and others you have free.
When for benefits, yes. For places that do not that have to charge, like some of the places that state, county owned, or what, actually county owned, because unfortunately the state of Kansas does not allow ghost hunts on their property. But as far as city owned, county owned, we work with them pretty well, and so we make sure that they're getting their overtime covered and that. But for the most part, if we as a group, as Ghost Light Paranormal, if we are sponsoring the hunt, we don't charge. It's I'm very happy being a not-for-profit. Everybody on my team, they work for free. Most of them are very, very happy to bring their own equipment and share their equipment, and so we enjoy just simply just doing it for the love of it. And the other thing is, we love skeptics. So, we typically say, hey, if you got a friend, if your husband is kind of poo-poo, or whatever, then bring them along. We will change some minds very quickly. So
I was in Topeka a few years ago and lectured at a conference that was a fundraiser for a no-kill animal shelter there.
Helen Hawk, I'm sorry, but yeah, I know you're talking about. It's going to. I can't remember the name of it right now.
I can't remember it, but they friends of mine were running it. They invited me. I came over to speak at it, and then we did a ghost hunt at a. Oh gosh, what was that? I want to say it was a Moose Lodge or Eagles Club or something like that.
You would have been. It's now called the Woodshed Entertainment Center, but it was a former Moose Lodge, and that was actually the second place that we investigated. And
is that the one where an officer was killed?
Yeah, and yeah, that's apparently they did have a Topeka police officer who who was killed by a burglar, and I know that there is a little bit of controversy with that story because his family is still alive and still in Topeka, and they actually have been known to have some words with people for having investigations at the Moose Lodge. Honestly, I think that what is going on there with that particular haunt is probably residual more than it is intelligent. So I
can't argue that one, but
yeah.
It's neat that we've investigated some of the same places that way.
Yeah. We actually, I'm actually getting ready to talk to the new owners there about the possibility of doing a Paracon in that building.
Okay.
So, and that's in my 5-year plan. So I've got some other things that I want to accomplish before I do that. Because I'm not going to do that all by myself.
Well, Scott, you've got the Paranormus podcast coming up, and that will only be on Facebook for the start. When do you plan on having that going?
Thursday is going to be my first one, and we are going to be talking to L&M, Project L&M. That is Mike and Leah. They are a husband and wife team. Leah is very, very special. She wrote a book on her story on how she managed to get her abilities. She actually had a medical condition in 2022 that caused her to end up in intensive care, where she actually stopped breathing, and her pulse stopped at least 2 or 3 times while she was in intensive care. And during those times, she did have near-death experiences, and she did end up keeping her abilities, and she's a very good medium, a very kind medium. Both Mike and Leah are actually very kind people. I met them for the first time at the Sally House, and sure, her abilities are absolutely
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I do have to back off, Scott, but thanks for being on here. We got you got the Paranormus podcast starting this week.
Yes,
and
sir.
Of course, you've got your public stuff coming up. And is that going to be on your Facebook page?
Yes, absolutely. I'll put I'll always have any sort of my public stuff, any of the the benefit stuff, anything like that. That'll be up on Light Paranormal. We are very, very close to getting our website up and running, ghostlightparanormal.net. Matter of fact, anybody can start trying that at any time, because it should be within the next few days. So that we get that going. So yeah, we're busy and we love it, and we absolutely are happy that you've let us come up here on your podcast.
Well, I'm glad you came, Scott. I love hearing about Kansas. I spent a lot of time in there, so it's kind of like a little trip back home.
Yep. And people, come to Topeka. I know Topeka is active, and we're probably just as active as Atchison, but it's kind of more of the state's best secret right now. But I'm looking at getting it out.
Give it time. Thanks, Scott, and hang loose on there for just a minute, would you?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll talk to you in a few minutes. Oh, guys, yeah, get to Kansas. You will not believe the stuff that goes on there. The history of it is incredible. So much going on. But real quick, I do want to talk to you just a little bit about joining the Onyx Network again. You get so much when you join. You get the newsletter, and the newsletter comes out nearly every day talking about something going on. You also get the blog, which comes across on your email, and the blog lately, crazy, burning up. We've got winged humanoids, Mothman seen down in over the Missouri River, in Kansas City. Gosh, there's so much going on. Ghosts, witchcraft, everything, and it's covered in there. And the other thing that you get once you're a member is sent to you on your email this magazine, the Onyx magazine, which I'm one of the contributing writers. There's some other guys out of all over, some of the greatest experts you could ever imagine. This one on the left, the darker cover, it's been a couple of years I wrote on about the haunted battleship North Carolina up here, and also an article about Halloween legends. And guys, when I'm talking about Halloween legends, I'm talking about when I was a kid, we'd hear about cults putting razor blades in apples, drugs in the candy. All of those have a kernel of truth, but nothing like we remember. When I was a kid in school, the police would come in and tell us how not to be worried, there are no cults kidnapping blonde-haired, blue-eyed children, which was a big rumor flying around back then. So a lot of stuff on that. Since then, I've also wrote some other. This comes out every 2 months, but I've got an article in this one just on haunted dolls, which I hate dolls. And this is my most recent one, Last Call at the Devil's Diner, and that was the old Diamonds, the Tri-County truck stop here in Missouri. It was a big truck stop on Route 66, very famous, been there since the late 40s, and very haunted, just insanely haunted. I was on the first and third investigations there. I've been back multiple times, and in May this year, March, it was hit by a tornado and pretty much destroyed. So we're not going to be going back there, I'm afraid. But if you look, the podcast is here on my channel. Just check it out. But it was an article I wrote. There's a lot of stuff you get if you join up the Onyx Network, and there's no reason not to do it. So give it a check out real quick, okay? And other than that, I'm going to go talk to Scott a little bit, and then I'm going to step on back out of here anyway. So, folks, I want you guys to do the important thing. And, weather's changing. We're getting close to Halloween, which excites us all. But y'all stay warm if it's cold in your area. Some areas is still very hot. Stay cool. And I guess really the most important thing I can suggest, stay spooked. Good night.